Hi and welcome to my channel. In the lead into Valentine's Day this year, today is February 1st, 2025. In the lead into Valentine's Day, which is the 14th of February, obviously, this year, I am doing a series of readings which I am titling Adam and Eve in Legoland. These readings were born from a trip that I had to make to the Apple store a couple of days ago. And on my way there, I passed the Lego store and I was intuitively drawn in. And when I went in there, I started to get all of these downloads. And over the past couple of days, I've come and I've done readings on all of these messages that I had coming through. When you think about Lego, it's about building a relationship that you are building. These are soulmate readings. They are love readings, a collection of love readings, which will all be housed in this playlist, Adam and Eve in Legoland. Why Adam and Eve? Because I was getting the story of Wally and Eve from the movie Wally, and a lot of the other messages that were coming through, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the apple. A lot of the other messages that were coming through tied back to previous messages that I have been getting about divine couples with specific reference to Adam and Eve, and how the connection between the two drew one or the other out of a comfort zone and towards each other. So if you want the full crux of this story and the full story of my trip into the Lego store, make sure you watch reading 1. As I said, the link to them will be in the description box. But this intro, as I mentioned, will be used across all of the readings. So hopefully there will be some information in these readings for you. If you are currently in a soulmate journey with somebody and you're wanting to delve a little deeper into it, specifically a soulmate connection where you are in separation, or where there are hidden feelings as in Wally and Eve, or where there is something that is actually separating a connection, physically, mentally, financially, some sort of separation. So if that's something that interests you, I will see you in your reading. Hi and welcome to this reading. Today's reading, I am pulling in the energy of a past life love story that didn't come into fruition in a previous lifetime. And so in this lifetime, it's getting a do-over. Now, when I sat down to do this reading, I've done a pre-shuffle on your cards. These were the cards that came out. And I've also got a little visitor. When he comes and sits as my puppy, it's not a puppy, it's actually 3, but when he comes and sits down beside me when I'm about to do a reading, it's because the energy of the people that I'm picking up on is ready. It's very, very balanced. He's a very kind of skittish dog. And when he comes and sits beside me in a reading and just puts his head down very calmly, it's because things are in alignment. Things are in alignment for this connection to come back. I want to say come back to life in this lifetime. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. A bit about me first. I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I read energy. I will then come and use my tarot and oracle decks to further clarify the messages, the energy that I'm picking up on. All of my readings are timeless. Whenever you stumble across this reading, you are meant to find it. As I said in the introduction, it's part of a playlist that I'm doing in the lead into Valentine's Day. So obviously it's a love reading, a past life love reading. I could be picking up on your energy or that of somebody coming towards you. It is a reading of a couple in some sort of separation, whether it's physical, mental, financial. But at the moment, there's a separation from where you left off in a past life to now. Now, the themes that I was pulling through are in and around the alignments that were happening in World War II. And I will go into that, but if you are called to any of the tarot or oracle decks that I use on my channel, they are my own designs because I am an illustrator. You can find all of them in the description box. So let me go through the cards that came through first. Inner wisdom. What I'm picking up is there were some life lessons that needed to be learnt in past lives in order to bring this connection. So some work on on both parts in order to bring in this connection in this lifetime. It's one of those connections that's been rolling around the universe, and potentially you had many past lives without each other. It could have been the last past life where things ended, if we're picking up those war themes, where things ended suddenly and maybe meant to happen that way, or a separation had to happen in order to have each individual in the connection fulfill the karmic lessons that their soul was set out to learn. There's a card, wisdom and philosophy. Some soul lessons that you had to go on, a journey that you had to go on individually before this connection could come back together. Inner wisdom. Then we've got falling in love with your authentic self, which is just beautiful because of the movie that I was pulling through. Falling in love with your authentic self, building up your soul. And when you think about a soul, if we are incarnating in each and every lifetime, building on the layers that you've built from previous lifetimes, then the aim is that when you return to each other, you will be a bigger and better version of yourself. And just think Captain America, because that was the movie I was picking up on. A bigger and better version of yourself, which is what he was, and fated. And then this card came out, past life recognition, which is just perfect because the energy that I was picking up on was that. So these cards popped out during the pre-shuffle. Some of the notes that I took. This is a connection where you will re-enter each other's orbits in this lifetime. As I said, I was picking up on the energy of Captain America. Now, as I said, I went into the Lego store, and that is, they do all these displays, obviously, so that you can see what the Legos look like. But when you think about a Lego store, it's about building how you want to build a relationship. But in order to do that, you have to build yourself first. Your individual pieces as part of whatever you're building. So there was this big display of Captain America, and I kind of shelved it. I didn't really think about it because I've never watched those movies, but I was drawn, intuitively guided to go and watch that movie, and it's a beautiful story. So in World War II, and if you've watched my readings regularly, or any of my readings, this number 7 theme has been running through all of the readings within divine couples. And I'm talking, a divine couple is a couple that has a spiritual connection with the divine, with God, whoever is your God. There is a soul contract that you have with the man upstairs and your soulmate. It's almost like the Trinity. A connection that you have with this person and the divine for a specific purpose in each lifetime. Now, some lifetimes, as I said, might be you building your own little Lego, who you are as a Lego character. But then you get lifetimes where you actually build together. So in Captain America, the movie I hadn't seen before, and I sat down and watched it. He was trying to get into the military, and he was too small and weedy, and he had too many health problems, and he just couldn't get in. And he ended up going through a back door, essentially, because he was scouted by this scientist who wanted to, or who was looking for somebody who was, I want to say, strong in character, but not necessarily strong in build. And they pumped him up with this serum, and he obviously turned into Captain America. Big muscles and, amazing strength. But in the process of that, he met a lady called Peggy, and he fell in love with her, and she fell in love with him. But she fell in love with him for who he was internally. And as the storyline plays out, they don't really end up being together. It's always this promise of a date, promise of a date, promise of a date. And in the end, and not to spoil the movie, but they don't get to be together. And when I was doing the pre-shuffle for these cards, I kept hearing that Katy Perry song, In Another Life, I Will Be Your Girl. And it's this energy of something like that has happened in the past. Now, if I look at the planetary alignments, Uranus which is the planet of new beginnings, but it's also the planet of, sudden shocking events. Uranus was in Gemini at the end of World War II. Uranus is it's an 84-year transit. Uranus is about to, on the 7th of the 7th, so the 7th of July this year, come back into Gemini after 84 years. A do-over. And that 7-7 number, so the 7th of the 7th, Uranus in Gemini. We've also got Jupiter going into Cancer. Jupiter is the planet of luck. Jupiter in the tarot is the Wheel of Fortune. When you think of luck, you think of 777. That 777 number, that's happening in June this year. June through into July this year. So again, that 7 reference. Cancer, the Chariot card, is the moon. Something emotional from your past returning, because a chariot brings things forward. And there's got to be balance. And as I said, Apollo, my dog, is sitting happily balanced in your energy. Now, as I said, Captain America is, that movie's around World War II. And in the previous reading, I was picking up the themes of V-Day, which is VE Day, which is Victory in Europe, which was May 8th, 1945. And then I was getting the image of, you would have seen it, it's that black and white photo of a sailor kissing a girl, but it's in New York City. That's VJ Day. That was August 14th, 1945. Victory over Japan Day. And then we run into all of these 7 themes. So World War II, which was the last big separation cycle. If you go back in history, just in the last 100 years, when was a period of time where people in love were separated? I mean, we've just had COVID, which was, 3 or 4 years, and everything else that went on top of that. But 1939 to 1945 was World War II. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 7. 7 again. Captain America slept for 70 years. Woke up. I'm giving away the end of the movie, but woke up expecting that he was about to go on a date with the woman that he loved. But he had literally been entombed in ice for 70 years. That's 7 reference again. If I go back to the original Wally, and I did question it in, I think, the first or the second reading, but I was like, I wonder how long Wally had lived on the earth before Eve dropped into his life. 700 years. We had Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. It's not, you can sit there and go, oh, well, these are all just coincidences, but there's a reason that these numbers drop through all the time. And specifically in love stories. Again, Uranus in Gemini, the 7th of the 7th. Maybe you have spent 7 lifetimes apart from this person. The other song that I was getting was that Kiss Me Once and Kiss Me Twice. It's been a long, long time. As I was doing the pre-shuffle, and the sun, this beautiful morning sun's very early. It's actually, I can't check the time. But it wouldn't surprise me. Everyone's just left for work here. It's probably around 7 a.m. And it is 7:13. When I was doing the pre-shuffle, there were a couple of cards that kept flicking out and flicking back in these decks and in this one. I got Love Begins, and then in these decks, the Lover's card tried to come out 3 times. Now that's Uranus in Gemini. The Lover's card is Gemini. But that Uranus in Gemini placement is happening on the 7th of the 7th. And in this deck, which is my Angel Oracle deck, the card that aligns with the Lover's card, which is Archangel Haniel, that tried to come out as well. The other message that I got was that, and it aligns with what was happening with Captain America. The reason he was chosen was because, and I'm going to say the reason he was chosen by God. So one person in, or both people in this connection, the reason that they were chosen for this particular love story that's about to play out is not because they were the fastest or the most good looking or the strongest, because Peggy fell in love with him before any of those changes had happened. She fell in love with him because she resonated with him. She was, in that movie, she was a female in an all-male environment. She knew what it meant to be the odd one out. And so when she looked at him and she saw his grit and determination, she saw herself reflected in him. And that's why she fell in love with him. Now, that's just my take on that movie. That's why she fell in love with him. And so then when he went and changed and became this kind of larger than life figure, it was still his inner strength, not his outward projection, that she fell in love with. It was who he was at the beginning. Falling in love with your authentic self. And that's who he was. And that is ultimately why, because in the beginning, they were talking about, one of the higher ups in the military was saying, why did you choose this guy to become, Captain America? And he was stood in a group of people, a group of men, and he was this tiny little weedy guy with all these big buff soldiers. And he said, I'll show you why I chose him. And they threw a grenade in, and all of these big burly blokes just literally ran away, and he dove on top of the grenade to protect everybody. So the line that was coming through, the good guy who sacrificed for others and finally gets the girl, which is what happened in that movie. The end of that movie, the last thing he says to Peggy is, let's go on a date. And then he ends up on this big plane, which has got all these guided missiles on it. And he knows that the only way to save humanity is to drive this plane into the Arctic Circle so the bombs don't get fired. So he sacrifices himself for everybody else, but in turn, he doesn't get the date. This is the lifetime you get the date. Fated to get the date. Fated to get the girl. Kiss me once and kiss me twice, and kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time. Okay, let's have a look at what angel is walking with you. If you haven't already, go and watch that movie because it is really beautiful. I think there's more in, I don't know if he goes back. I have a feeling he actually goes back. But I got to work out which movies it is because I don't want to sit and watch 1,000 Marvel movies because it's kind of not my thing. Look at that. Peace and justice. 27, Yeratel. Now, that angel is an angel that's walking with you. And that angel aligns with the Page of Wands. And when I think of the Page of Wands, I think of, that's my Amelia Urquhart card. Saturn in Sagittarius. The hard lessons that you have to learn as you explore the soul contract that you have with life. Or the soul contract that you have with the man upstairs in each and every lifetime that you're in. And some lifetimes, like Amelia Urquhart, a bit similar to, Captain America, and she lost her life. Doing something that was incredibly brave and incredibly, essentially she sacrificed her life. So now, however many years later, we could enjoy flying from one country to another. There's a bravery here. And 42, political affairs and protection for travelers. That's a bit beautiful. That's the Emperor. Captain America, the Emperor. Amelia Urquhart. Now, if you don't know who Amelia Urquhart is, she was the first female aviator. And she had many solo flights. And then on her final one, she disappeared off the radar. Brave. Peggy Carter, I think her name is. Brave in Captain America. Aries energy. And it is a bit of that when you stand in your power, inner wisdom, inner power, inner strength, then sometimes you are actually, and when I think of, the good guy who sacrificed for others, oftentimes you literally are sacrificed. If we go back to that, the title of the playlist, These love stories that roll around within the realms of the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, some sort of sacrifice having to be made. In this instance, somebody was the sacrifice, or the love was the sacrifice. Do I want another one of those? I don't think I do, not yet. The love was the sacrifice. Okay, let's get the energy around this connection that's coming back to life. That was the moon that was trying to pop out. The energy, the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is Uranus in Virgo. Single, independent, free, solid foundation. This is what you've built over lifetimes in the 3D. What your soul has built is an inner strength. And when you think about then a relationship that comes back together with two people who have been on individual journeys, they recognize it in the other, and potentially that's what you're drawn to. But they're also very solid and grounded. What's happening in the 3D? The Knight of Wands. Love begins. The guy getting the girl. That's Mars in Sagittarius. And it's making me think of what's happening in the soul. It's making me think of all of those big relationships in history. Now, some of them had huge karmic lessons. So if you think of, and we're talking about, because we're in this 20-year transit of Pluto and Aquarius, and I've been looking back at the big love stories that have happened in these transits. Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, Louis XVI, Marie Antoinette, Napoleon, Josephine, all of these transits that have happened, all of these love stories that have happened in these transits. And there's no dates for it, but it even pulls in the story of Jacob and Rachel in the Bible, where he was stuck in a contract for 7 years before he then was able to marry the woman that he loved. Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, he wanted to be with her, even though he was married to somebody else. He wanted to be with her, and she would not sleep with him until they were married. 7 years it took. That was the Pluto and Aquarius transit in the mid-1500s. The Pluto and Aquarius transit, because it happened every 250 years. If you look at Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, I nearly said Josephine, Marie Antoinette, they were married at, she was 14, he was 15, but they didn't consummate their marriage for 7 years because he had a medical condition. Again, that 7 number coming through. The Devil. There's karmic lessons that need to be learnt. The 3 of Pentacles, karmic lessons that need to be learnt in the 3D. The 3 of Pentacles is Mars in Capricorn. Fires that you need to start and put out because there's lessons within them that create this inner wisdom, that create this bravery, that create this, almost these layers of these two individuals that are being built over time, so that when they finally come back together, when you get the do-over, it's built on this beautiful solid foundation. And there's something to do with these alignments that are happening. There is another alignment that's happening. We've got 7 planets on the 28th of February. And I think the last time that happened, I think it was 457 years ago, which was just after Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. A do-over. What's the message from the man upstairs? But there's these 7 numbers. And when you think about, look at that, we've got the King of Pentacles. So now we've got the King and Queen of Pentacles, the energy around, and the message from the man upstairs. We've got a match. 2 solid, stable individuals who've fallen in love with their authentic self. They've gained the internal wisdom. They're both standing in their Emperor energy. Peace and justice. They're balanced. Amelia Urquhart. They've gone on their own individual journeys. They're brave. Brave and fearless. You might have, wonder what's, Have a look at what planets you have in Sagittarius. Brave and fearless. So we've got the King and Queen of Pentacles, and look at this, the Wheel of Fortune, which is 777. That's the message from the man upstairs. Balance. And balance brings in two birds, the Wheel of Fortune. Fates align. The outcome. The Eight of Pentacles. A relationship that is strong, that is solid. The Seven of Pentacles, which is where you plant your seeds. You've actually planted your seeds. Your soul has planted its seeds in itself and built these two individuals which can now come together. That's the Sun in Virgo. Can now come together and build together, harvest together. The Three of Cups, which is celebration. The Three of Cups is Mercury in Cancer. Okay, let's have a look at this Queen of Pentacles here. Strength. This is the energy around you. Hidden strength. And it just takes me back to that part in the movie where she's falling in love with him, but it's not the big cartoon character that everybody's falling in love with. She falls in love with his authentic self. She falls in love with his hidden strength. That's what attracts them. And it doesn't matter how grandiose he becomes. She doesn't see that. She actually sees, she sees his heart. Because he doesn't change. From when they threw the grenade at the beginning, he jumps on it to protect everybody else. And at the end, he drives the plane into the ice and sacrifices. That's what she sees, even though it means that in that lifetime. Knight of Wands, let's have a look. Three of Pentacles. Third party. Third party. And that just popped into my head. Let's see what else comes out with that. That's Mars in Capricorn. And the Temperance card, which is a card of divine timing. Again, it's that, well, it's the Wheel of Fortune, because it's Jupiter, but it's Sagittarius. Okay, I know what it is. It's in previous lifetimes, past life recognition, in previous lifetimes, because we've got the three here as well. It's 2, 3 of Pentacles. In previous lifetimes, part of the soul journey that individually you have been on, the focus was on a very practical, what am I doing, what am I building, what am I, you know, not much of a focus on love. And with divine timing, with the Temperance card coming out, it's the divine's way of saying the foundation has been built. Because this is what's happening in the 3D. The foundation has been built now for this soul contract to come in. And as I said, we've got three. All of the hairs on my head are standing up. We've got three here. A divine connection that's now coming into the 3D, because Pentacles are a 3D card. That's now coming into the 3D because of what you've each individually built. Divine timing. The guy coming forward. 3 of Pentacles. What's happening in the soul? That's too many. I'm going to Uranus in Libra. The King of Swords. And the Two of Wands, which is Mars in Aries. And I just heard the plans have been set for this divine truth. Because in that bulk of cards that came out, we got the Three of Wands. But I also got the Page of Cups, which is a gesture of love. Sometimes it's seen as an apology. You know, Captain America, and I've not watched the second movie, but, you know, when he eventually catches up with her, sorry I took so long. It was all meant to play out this way. The plans. It's happening in the soul. The plans that you make. Uranus and Libra, sudden shocking events. The plans that you make, the plans that you made in a past life that didn't bring in the balance. The balance is now being destroyed, restored is what I want to say. The balance is now being restored. 3 of Cups, celebration. King of Pentacles, Hierophant. You got the big guy backing you. That can also be seen as a divine couple. Spiritually ascended divine couple. The Hierophant and the High Priestess. Because of the things, this inner wisdom that you've built over lifetimes. Political affairs and protection from travelers. And potentially you've had past lives where you have been physically separate. You know, maybe you didn't grow up in the same area, or you know, if I think of Captain America, he was American and she was British working in the American army. Yet they met somewhere in Europe. It's almost like your soul, especially with this Amelia Urquhart card, your souls have been globe-trotting around the world. Learning lessons in different cultures, different religions, spiritual lessons. You don't learn the same thing, or you don't learn anything if you stay in the same spot all the time. It's just like Groundhog Day. Okay, let's have a look at the 8 of Pentacles, which is also a card of learning. The Knight of Cups, which is the Sun in Scorpio. No, it's not. It's the Moon in Scorpio. A gesture of love. Scorpio's death and rebirth, past life. Something coming back. Now that is the 8 of Swords, which is Jupiter in Gemini, a current placement at the moment, up until the 5th of June this year. Jupiter stays in a sign for 12 months. And on the 5th of June, Jupiter, which is the Wheel of Fortune, goes into Cancer, which is the Chariot. Cancer is the number 7. The Wheel of Fortune is 777. The potential final outcome is a release. The 8 of Swords is a release. It's almost like this King of Swords, this sword here, that can just and release to allow this beautiful love to come in because it's fated. And the 8 of Pentacles again, a building. Okay, let's get some cards. Transformation. Nice. What else can we know about this love? Ascension. Elevation. What's that U2 song? Elevation. Learning from hard lessons. This is literally everything I've been saying. The building that you did on your own. Enemies. Building your inner strength and beautiful. Divine timing, it was all part of the plan. We did have the moon there. It was all hidden. Perfect match. Okay, let's get a moon for you. New moon vibes in Leo. Don't let that prideful mane of yours block your path. What did I say? Pride. And I kept seeing it. I've got I've kind of got a reference on my wall of all the different meanings of things, and I just kept seeing the word pride. Where is that? Let me see what it's referenced to. Number 19 in numerology is pride. Join the adventure. Cardinal moon, blaze those trails like a boss. Maybe that was one of the things that somebody was learning, one of the lessons. And we've got another lion here, 2 lions. Pride. I just heard too proud to admit defeat. Don't know what that means. Okay, let's have a look. These are my nodes of destiny. What? My question was, what have you been working on in this lifetime? But I was going to split it. One for you, one for them. Choose your side. Doesn't matter which. You'll know if it's you and you'll know if it's them. South Node in the 4th house. South Node kicking back in the 4th house, breaking away from that cozy family nest might be tough, but it's time to spread those wings, break free from relying on others, and chase after your unique life mission. Now, the South Node is what you are releasing for the next 18 months. It's in Virgo. The North Node is in Pisces, which is spirituality, which is these spiritual connections coming back together, because both parties have ascended. Both parties have potentially spent time apart or been held apart by God, by a higher power, because they're meant to come back together when both parties are transformed, ascended, and elevated. South Node in the 4th house is Cancer. It's like our spiritual snuggly spot, what we've got to let go of to blossom into our best selves. Okay, the other person in this connection. Now, this doesn't have to be your placement, but it just can give you a guide as to what one or the other has been working on. South Node in the 11th house, which is Aquarius. 11th house South Node, you're as slick as a ninja's blade, but don't freeze over that heart of gold. Sprinkle in some love and creativity for a toasty twist. This zone is all about kicking back, expanding spiritually, and blossoming into a fresh and fabulous you. And North Node in Sagittarius. Get set for a cosmic escapade. If your North Node vibes with Sagittarius, adventure calls as you dive into a world of knowledge and wanderlust. With Jupiter as your guide, you're on a thrilling journey, seeking truth, staying optimistic, and catching life's surprises with open arms. That is so Amelia Urquhart. Okay, let's have a look at some songs. Now, I will list the songs that come through in the description box as well as the movies. Whatever songs come through, there may be messages in the lyrics, in the name of the artist, the album cover. That song may be attached to a movie, which might have more messages in there. And again, those movies, if you're called to, might be worth taking a watch. It might give you more information. Now, that song was trying to come out when I was doing the pre-shuffle. 100 years, 5 for fighting. I'm 15 for a moment, caught in between 10 and 20, and I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. I'm 22 for a moment, and she feels better than ever, and we're on fire, making our way back from Mars. 15, there's still time for you, time to buy and time to lose. 15, there's never a wish better than this when we've only got 100 years to live. That's about getting a do-over. The guy gets the girl. Say something, a great big world. Say something, I'm giving up on you. I'll be the one if you want me to. Anywhere, I would have followed you. Say something, I'm giving up on you. And I'm feeling so small. It was over my head, I know nothing at all. And I will stumble and fall. I'm still learning to love, just starting to crawl. Say something, I'm giving up on you. That's giving me the vibes of all the lifetimes potentially where you've had that serendipitous moment where you've connected but then kind of bounced off and not got to live out the love, that love story in the 3D. And it's because you had lessons to learn. That's How You'll Know is Amy Adams. That's from the movie Enchanted, where she goes from one life to the next. Jealous, Nick Jonas. I mean no disrespect. It's my right to be hellish. I still get jealous. What I'm getting from that is that feelings that you've had in the past, as in a past life, or feelings that you've had if you've met this person in real time, in this lifetime, you might have big feelings for them, and you might not be able to understand why those feelings. Maybe you're somebody who is very jealous, and you may not be able to understand why you get so emotionally riled up around this person. But it's all the karma that's built up from past lives, all of the times where you haven't been able to be with that person. And so when they're kind of put in your sphere in front of you in this lifetime, it all just bubbles to the surface. Say a Little Prayer, Aretha Franklin. That's from the movie My Best Friend's Wedding. That was Julia Roberts. Forever, forever, you'll stay in my heart and I will love you forever, forever. We never part. Oh, how I love you. Together, together. That's how it must be. To live without you would only mean heartbreak for me. That song has never come out. Say a Little Prayer. And payphone. I'm at a payphone trying to call home. Think of all those people in World War II. Well, it wasn't a payphone then, was there? They were writing snail mail. All of my change spent on you. Where have the times gone, baby? It's all wrong. Where are the plans we made for two? Yeah, I know it's hard to remember the people we used to be. It's even harder to picture that you're not here next to me. Wow. Okay, let's get some messages. Let's get some love messages about this connection. Moving closer to union. Temptation. Release. This is temptation. This is this jealousy here. I really don't know if you even care. Self-love, which is what you're working on. That I really don't know if you even care. It's taking longer than I thought. Please wait. Meaning, this feeling that you know that your souls are connected from a past life, but is that going to play out in this lifetime? Hidden feelings. I want to talk to you, but fear takes over. Hold your vision, don't give up. You help me heal. The truth will set you free. I miss you. And one more. I'm trapped in fear. Secret Admirer. That was that card, the Moon in Pisces, which is the Page of Cups. Okay, let's get you some Scrabble tiles. In here, Scrabble tiles, letters and numbers on each tile. I will call them out as they come out. It does make a little bit of noise when I shake it, so if you have hearing sensitivity, just turn your volume down. I'm going to shake it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we've got a V for V-Day, an N, a V and a 4, an N and a 1, a T and a 1, a I and a 1, a C and a 3, an F and a 4, a G and a 2, a W and a 4, an S and a 1, a D and a 2, I'm just thinking sad, a and a 1, an R and a 1, a B and a 3, an M and a 3, an E and a 1, an X and an 8, a Z and a 10, an O and a 1, and an L and a 1. So we do have VE. I don't have a Y. VED. Just seeing what words I can make. Oh, I do have, look. I've only got one of each letter, but Valentine. I just heard, what is that? Get ready with me. It's been a long, long time. Okay, you can pause that, see if you can make out some more words that might be relevant to your connection. Could be your first, middle, last initial, or that of your person, or something else that's happened that pertains to this relationship. I'm going to get you 3 final cards, see if there's anything that your guides want to tell you about this beautiful love. Devil, Capricorn energy. 8 of Cups, walking away. That is Saturn in Pisces, is the 8 of Cups. The Moon. Wow, and Judgment. Oh, look, in the 10 of Pentacles. So the 10 of Pentacles is Mercury in Virgo. That's the happily ever after card. It's giving me stuck in transit. This relationship has been stuck in transit as this plane goes over. Travelers, and we had Amelia Urquhart. This relationship has been stuck in transit. Captain America flying that big plane. I've got this big, on my wall in my lounge room, I've got this big artwork, and it lists all the names of all the places, well, not all the places I've been, because I've been quite a few, but all the countries that I've been to. And then when we flew back into my city, it says flight delayed. This flight has been delayed. And you know when you get stuck somewhere and you can't get home, there's that feeling of frustration, the devil. But it's because there's been things that each of you individually have had to work on. And now that you've done that, and you hear somebody's taking out the trash, you've taken out the toxicity, falling in love with your authentic self. You've taken out any toxicity that you have, any negative feelings that you've had towards yourself, and built on yourself internally, I want to say. The Moon, emotions. And now, Judgment is... Judgment is the card that comes out, and we have the 10 of Pentacles here. Judgment is the card that comes out after, and underneath that we've got the 10 of Swords, karmic completion. The karmic completion that you've gone through, that now brings in, that now heralds this reconnection. You can get back on the plane and get to your person. The 10 of Pentacles. Judgment is God. This is 2 people, both spiritually evolved, both elevated, both done the internal work, and God turns them into, calls judgment. And that brings back to the first judgment in the Garden of Eden was when Adam and Eve ate the apple, Snow White, ate the apple. That was the first judgment. They were judged by God and they were booted out of the Garden of Eden. The second judgment, which is this judgment, is when you then go in and you do the work. And I'm not saying here that, anybody's done anything wrong. but there was internal work that needed to be done. And this is the message from God. And this is where we got the High Priestess and the Hierophant, the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. Two symbols of divine spiritual couples that are solid and grounded and have done the work. So now you get the second judgment, which is God. And in this particular deck, I drew it as a dragon, which is God. Last year was the year of the dragon. God, the dragon, breathing life into this connection. Through the astrological placements, divine timing was all part of the plan. That now turn these pair, give them their freedom. Amelia Urquhart, turn this pair into a pair of birds so that they can fly away to their freedom. That's really beautiful. The good guy who sacrificed for others but finally gets the girl. So that's what I've got for you. Thanks so much for joining me for this reading. If it resonates with you, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you are called to any of my tarot or oracle decks, as I said before, the links to those can be found in the description box. And actually too, that's the moon, which is Cancer. The Chariot card, number 7 again. So that's what I've got for you. Thanks again, and I will see you in another reading.